Amazing. So welcome to your live training on the energy shift that's occurring on the planet right now, the movement and momentum that you might be feeling. If your nervous system is feeling like kind of overwhelmed, like one sign of this is that you might be feeling like a little bit jittery, or you might notice that the people around you are a little bit edgy. You might notice that people are really emotional. So like earlier in the week, I noticed a lot of edginess going on, a lot of conflict actually coming up around me. Now, I really prefer like not to engage in conflict unless I absolutely need to like set boundaries. And I did have to set boundaries with somebody today, which isn't always my comfort zone. But I know that if I don't set them like now, then what happens is it gets worse and worse and worse. Has that ever happened to anybody? So if you're feeling that edginess that's happening around us, it's because the patterns are shifting. And this is actually great news for healers, creatives, spiritual entrepreneurs, because I feel like we've been like a secret for too long. Now I've worked really hard on my visibility but ever since I shifted into becoming a professional artist and now healer. I've worked on that since back in 2014, really becoming visible. But now things are actually getting easier for us. So you might have noticed how I use the words, I worked really hard. Now I try not to use that kind of language anymore, because it's not really the way that I'm doing things anymore. Now that I'm stepping into greater alignment with my magnetism, greater alignment with my ability to manifest things. I was always manifesting, but I was manifesting definitely through connecting to spirit and that spiritual energy. But then another way was through action taking and force. And I'm totally not into, if you work with me now, or if you follow me now, the past few years, I've not been into forcing things, and I really had to let that go. And the reason why I had to let it go is because I was getting really tired and really drained and really tapped out on an energetic level. So that's happened to you. Or if you're watching live, give me a little live. Let me know what's resonating. I also have been sharing these videos with my YouTube audience. So if you're on YouTube, I want to invite you to leave me a comment. And if you're not on YouTube yet, please go and follow me over there, because I will be sharing these trainings every week with my group and my YouTube subscribers. So thank you so much for being here. So I'm going to get more into the momentum in the movement, because this piece is actually really fun, even though it can feel a little bit scary. So like I said, a lot of things are changing right now. And one thing I learned, when things are changing, like you might start falling back into these old patterns, because that does is it gives us this sense of, and it's a false sense of security. It's like we feel like we just want to go back into that old identity or crawl right back under the covers, like in the morning. Did that happen to anybody else this morning? That happened to like my whole family this morning. We just wanted to like go right back to bed. Okay. The other thing that people do a lot when they're feeling ungrounded is they start eating. Like if you find yourself like snacking more, or like eating more than usual, or feeling like really, really hungry, sometimes our appetite is like another evidence that you might just really be hungry. And if you are, that's like completely fine. But I'm saying to just like develop that awareness and the mindfulness of the thoughts and the patterns, and really notice like what is changing for you right now. So we're never really just staying the same. And I've heard this explained by multiple of my mentors in multiple different ways. I've heard that we're either expanding and contracting. I've heard expansion in your business as a metaphor to the seasons, which that really resonates with me, because I'm super into nature and natural dyes and spending time out in nature, and, being eco-conscious, and like really being a creative and a healer that's here to make the planet really a better place to be for everybody. So that's something that like really resonates with me. So we're either expanding or we're contracting. You can also think of it as a spiral, right? Like we're in a spiral, and we're either like spiraling up or we're spiraling down. And I mean, the up and down does seem a little bit more hierarchical, but we're like the Milky Way, right? We're like the spiral of the galaxy, and we're either spiraling up or down. We're either like expanding or we're like contracting. And what I wanted to say is, in this time of change, it's a perfect opportunity for you to get to decide how you want to the next phase and the next iteration of your life and your transformation to really be. Like, what do you want that to look like? How do you want it to be? So, I talked a little bit about the seed or the bulb germinating, and that's really the deceptive part, because sometimes we think we're in the in-between space, we think we're in the waiting space, but we're not actually waiting, we're actually germinating. So to the naked eye, it might look like nothing is happening, but the truth is that something very powerful is happening, right? So, you might notice that things, the way of like your way of doing things has changed. Maybe even your way of operating online, the way that you used to show up in Facebook groups, if that was your thing. You might notice that now there's tons of content online because we have all this help from Chat GPT and help from Chat GPT and AI. And that's a whole other conversation. And I have a very balanced perspective on it, because I can see the pros and I can see the cons. I can see how it's only as good as the user who's putting the input in the technology. But I'll have to do like part 2 on ChatGPT, because I did a part 1 a few weeks back. And my perspective has evolved even since then. I saw my friend Karen posted something today about, are you able to change perspectives? Are you able to consider other things when presented with facts? So how will you change and how will you evolve? So when new information is presented, like, will you reconsider new things, or are you like stuck in old patterns and old belief systems? And I'm not suggesting that your old beliefs are wrong or not valid, but it's just a practice that I'm very interested in, is this consideration piece where you think about things and you ponder things, and you then get to decide, and you even get to change your mind about things as well. So my message today is, we cannot hide in old identities. And as you know, this group is all about soul alignment, having our soul aligned business, having our soul aligned our dream life, and manifesting that through connection with ourselves and our inner guidance. So I feel like we're really being called to show up in our communities, to connect with people, to like really foster these real authentic connections, and to integrate and to focus on the results of our clients. And I'm curious if that's resonating with anybody else, but not just focusing on like, the money posts where people say how much money they made and how they had a big payday. Those are not like really resonating with me as much anymore as when somebody's sharing authentically about how their client's life was actually changed, or how they experienced a massive shift in perspective. So I like to focus on my clients' results, what they're getting by working with me, what the changes are in their lives and in their businesses, because I know that that is the real way that you build a 6-figure business. It is not some fast and quick thing, although it can come through faster now because of the way that the opportunities are opening up and really starting to present themselves. And I have had some big things, some big numbers come through really, really fast. But I know that you build it sustainably by making these small adjustments, right? And when I think back, and I'm so thankful for all of the wisdom that I've gathered from other mentors that made me realize that the way that I really built my business successfully was through making these shifts and making these changes and taking these small actions. And that wasn't overwhelming to me because I was able to integrate. And that's like a huge thing. It's like we need to be able to integrate the success and we need to be able to make it lasting, and we need to be able to make it permanent, right? And that means like being conscious about the new money that we're making, or being conscious about the actions that we're taking during the day, so that you build something sustainable and not something that's going to burn you out later. And this is a huge one, because that is something that I experienced during the pandemic. I was working so much. I was also really inspired. So I was having like all these crazy downloads. And I know a lot of people did not experience that during the pandemic. But for me, just like not having to get in my car and drive around in LA traffic, if anybody else lives in a city with a lot of traffic, that actually was a really, really creative time for me. And I was able to birth a lot of newness during that time. Now, I did start to get kind of burned out toward the end, because there was just so many changes and so much coming through and so much happening. So if you're just joining, we're talking about movement and manifestations and how it all works. I'm breaking it down here, and I'm liking this time slot. So let me know if you're watching live. Give me a little like or comment. You can always go back and listen to the other parts of the training if you want to kind of hear the state of like the almost like the energetic state of what is going on the planet. So April and May, it's like this time of expansion. There's a lot of opportunities, and it's really good news for people who are multi-passionate, for people who didn't fit well inside of a box. That was me. I could not fit inside of the box no matter how hard I tried. And the more that I tried to fit in the box, the more it like shut down my creativity, and the more it actually started to repel my magnetism. And that was because I didn't know what I didn't know. So if you've ever been there and you're trying to listen to somebody who's maybe never walked in the same path as you, right? And that's why I like to say, there's no cookie cutter coaching. There's no cookie cutter program. There's no one size fits all. There are things that might work for you, and things that you can test, and things that you can try out and see how they fit. It's like trying on a new beautiful dress. You want to see how it fits, if it's going to fit you nicely, or if it's not going to be the right fit for you. All right. So I didn't see that analogy coming, but that's just like the first thing that I thought of when I was talking just now. So I'm excited to share that big manifestations can come through, but when you start to have these like nuanced steps, more nuanced actions, and I want you to think about that when you're trying to call in something bigger or something really huge. If we're overly obsessing on it, again, that does not help with the attraction. And this is something I was talking to one of my clients about yesterday. I've had great conversations with my clients this week. When we're overly focused on something, we're like almost clinging to it. And this is like what my yoga teacher used to say, when you're clinging to the sand, right? You're trying so hard to white knuckle it, to like make it really, really hard, a really tight fist. And that's probably not even a good saying, but what I would like to say is it starts to slip through. It's almost like holding on to water, right? It starts to really slip through the cracks and the crevices of your fingers and your fingertips. So April 25th through 27th, I have an opportunity for you. Now you've seen, I announced in the group, it's a 3-day program, and it's designed to help you get movement and momentum in your business. And like what I did today, when I felt the heaviness of the energy, and I literally just wanted to dive back in under the covers. So if you're feeling that way, it's like completely normal. Like all I did is I took these little steps that I knew I can just cast a line here, I can cast a line out there, and I can see what comes back to me. And I know something magical will, because it's fun and it's playful when you do it that way. So it doesn't have to be heavy. You don't have to reflect the heaviness of the planetary energy. You don't have to absorb it. You don't have to take it on. But what I want you to do is I want you to really connect to your intuition. And that's what we're going to be doing in the 3 days, movement and momentum. Be connecting to our inner guidance, our intuition. We're going to be releasing those old patterns, those things, those old identities, the things that are not resonating with us anymore in the new energy. We're going to be expanding the vision and like opening up all the different ideas, all the different opportunities. Then we're going to decide which dress, which shoe. I'm like cracking up. I think I like need to go shopping. Which shoe fits and like which one feels really good and which one do you want to pursue next? And then not only that, but I'm going to give you some steps that I know work so that you can try them and you can test them out for yourself and you can see the results and how you're going to start to shift in your life and in your business into that new version of you, that elevated version. So I'm actually thinking about calling this the shift now. And it's all about intuitive success, like really dialing into intuition, creating an offer that's going to really resonate, and then thinking about how you may go about selling that offer. And I guess offer is the good word because it can be anything from services to products, to what really resonates with you. Now, if you're like, I want to do this, but I don't have a business, I want to apply this to my life, this will absolutely apply to your life. But on that third day, when we're making our offer plan, you're going to be making more of like a life strategy or a life plan for the next 30 to 90 days. Now, if you have my journal, Manifest Your Dream Life in 90 Days, you know that I like to work in 90-day segments because that's like a quarter of the year. It's like a season. And that feels very organic and very easy time period to see some changes happen and some elevation and some shifts. It's not too short, but it's not too long. So that's why I pick 90 days as a, just a starting point. So if you're interested in intuitive success, please drop the word intuition. Every day will be recorded. So if you can't make it on some of the days, you can absolutely have access to the recordings. And I've changed the structure a little bit. I wanted to make it a little more accessible, but then also I basically have two ways that you can join us. You have two levels. You can join us at the abundance level, or you can join us at the visionary level. So you can join at either level, whichever one really resonates with you. And so there's two different ways to join. So if that interests you, just drop the word intuition in the comments. And I hope that you liked this training. I hope you got a lot of value out of it. I hope you thought that the tips and the ideas were fun. And if you're just joining me now, be sure to go back and watch the beginning, because I talk a lot about the momentum and the energy of the world around us right now and how it might be affecting business or our life. Thanks for watching. See you soon.